What's her name?
Joice.
Joyce, tell us your testimony.
I've been married for 6 years, and the 3 years that I was married, I was having a lot of problems with my husband. It had got to the stage where we were so desperate that I needed to find an answer. I went online and I happened to see Bulletproof Marriage. So we decided we'd order it, but then I realized you can actually get it from a UCKG, and I realized there was one in Lozells. So we came to Lozells for the book. We got the book and the DVD, and when we were leaving, they told us that they actually have services.
How did you heard about this book?
It was online. I was just looking for a book on relationships.
Not coming to the church in those times.
No, I was going to another church and they were giving us counselling, but the counselling wasn't working. So when we came to pick up the book and they said that there were different services happening, I decided to come along. I kept coming along, but things were getting worse. My husband is very quiet anyway, and he had begun to be very withdrawn. I had begun to be very disrespectful. I wasn't very submissive. I'd go on holiday and I'd go for about 2-3 weeks and I wouldn't tell him. I'd go to my mum and dad's. I'd stay there for about a day. Then it turned into a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And in the end, things were getting so bad. I kept blaming my husband because I kept finding fault with him. I couldn't find any fault with myself. It was always my husband's fault. Yes, because he was the quiet one. Anyway, it got so bad that eventually he moved out. He moved out 18 months ago. Anyway, when he was gone, I thought, oh, good, maybe that's the end of that. I can find somebody else. But then when he had gone, I realized the house was lonely. There was nobody to talk to. And then I began to see all these qualities that he'd had. Anyway, I was asked to come to Love Talk, and I started coming along to it. But it was at Bullring at the time, and it was just a nightmare to get to Bullring. Parking was always a nightmare, so I stopped coming. And then when it came to Lozells, I was told, oh, it's in Lozells, come back. So anyway, I came back, and as I started coming, I started listening to the messages, and then I realized there was a lot of things that I needed to change in myself. The problem wasn't just my husband, it was me. I was the problem. So I started making notes, and then I started doing a lot of sacrifice, and I started doing a lot of prayers, because at the same time I didn't want to become a statistic in the divorce. My husband and I had spoken about divorce, and in the end he did file for divorce, but I didn't want to become a statistic, so I started praying, and I started changing with Love Talk as I was coming along. As I began to change, I started praying, and I said, God, I need my husband to come back. I didn't see any change, and it was taking forever, and some days I'd give up, and other times I'd keep persevering. I said, I don't want to put my marriage into the hands of the devil, because I'd made those vows on the altar. I really wanted God to work. So finally, I went back to my husband and I spoke to him, and he agreed for us to get back together. At this stage, the divorce was already going ahead. So we went back, we did a letter, and we wrote, and we said that we didn't want the divorce to go ahead. The Love Talk changed my life, because I went from somebody that was always angry, always disrespectful. I learned to be submissive, and I've really learned, just really to be more respectful to my husband. I'd ask anybody to come along to Love Talk, because it's not just for couples, but it's for anybody who wants to see changes in their life and actually to put that in practice. Now today, I'm a much happier person. We're together. I know it did take 18 months, but it was 18 months of perseverance, and God finally came through.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
God bless you.